there, it's Jamie Anderson, and in this video I'm going to give you some tips for changing chords quickly. This is one of the questions I get asked by beginners a whole lot. And when you're first learning to play, it does seem like it takes 3 hours to change chords, and it doesn't have to be that way. Here are 6 tips to help you with your chord changes. Now, the first one I'm going to show you, I employed using those 2 chords that I just opened with, C and D7. And what I did was, I found the finger that was the same in both chords. Now, I'm going to show you a far away view now, and then I'll give you a close-up in just a minute. So you'll notice that for a C chord, my index finger is on the 2nd string, 1st fret, and it's going to stay there when I go to the D7. All I do is swing those 2 fingers down. So from the C to the D7. Here's a close-up of that. Here's the C chord. And you'll see that I'm leaving my index finger where it's at, and I'm swinging these 2 fingers down to catch the other 2 strings. Here it is again, C, and then the D7. Another chord change that you can use a pivot finger on is G and E minor. So here's G. Your index finger stays in the same place. Pick up your 3rd finger, take your 2nd finger and put it right underneath that one. There's the E minor. Go back. And you'll see that I'm changing the position of that index finger just a little bit. So here's a close-up of that change. Here's the change from G to E minor. Here's G, and then I'm leaving my index finger right where it's at, swinging this finger to move underneath it, and just getting my 3rd finger out of the way. And then back to the G. And you'll see that I'm moving that index finger back and forth just a tiny bit. So you can do this with a variety of different chords. Look at the song that you're playing, note the chords that are next to each other, and see if they have any common fingerings. And the next tip I want to give you is simple. Keep your fingers close to the fretboard. If you play like this, yeah, then there's going to be a gap between your chords. If you keep your fingers hovering over the strings, don't touch them, but very close to the strings, that'll help you change a lot easier. The next tip is to know what's coming ahead. So if you have a sheet of music, you can note what's in the first line, and then that'll give you some time to get down to the 2nd line if you're looking at the music. So, for example, I'm going to play you part of The Gambler. On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere. Now I'll tell you, I have a terrible memory, but I happen to know that there's only G and C in that first line. And so I memorized that part, and that made it a lot faster. And that may be true for those of you who still have to look at your fingers too, because if you've already looked at the music and you know you've just got G and C to worry about, then you're good to go. What also helps in this song is that there's 2 measures of G to begin. So that's another good thing to keep watch for, is what chords are coming up. Be ready, don't be surprised. Well, you could be surprised, but all right, what's another tip here? Oh, practice. If you've got a song and there's that one change that is just driving you nutso, take the 2 chords that are back to back and just play them over and over again. Now, one of the chords that a lot of beginners seem to have trouble with is an F. And an F is kind of a weird chord, right? Because it's partly a bar chord and partly not. So here's the F. Let's say I got to change to a G after that. So for the G, I have to pick up all my fingers and get to the G. So just do that over and over again. So even if there is still a gap, just keep playing it over and over again. You can do a strum pattern if you want, or just do 1 strum each like I'm doing. Here's a strum pattern. Again and again until eventually that muscle memory locks in. And you'll be sitting there one day and all of a sudden you'll just change from F to G without stopping. It's an amazing thing. course, your spouse may divorce you before then because they're tired of hearing F and G every day, but you know, hey, that's what it's like living with a musician. There's another thing that I wanted to talk about. Oh, let's talk about bar chords and how you change to and from bar chords and open chords. Bar chords are sort of the next level up. So if you're a beginner, if you've never played before, you probably want to stay away from bar chords. But if you've been playing a little while, try them. They're really wonderful things, and I have some instruction about playing bar chords that I'll put underneath here so you can check that out. One of the things that you can do when you're changing back and forth with bar chords and open chords is try to employ similar shapes, and I'll show you what I mean. So if I'm going from E to B minor, and I'm doing a bar chord for that B minor, that can be kind of tricky because I've got to pick up all my fingers, and I'm like, well, how do I do that? Well, if you use different fingering for that E, it makes it a little easier. So what I'm talking about is using your second, third, and fourth finger for that E. And that way it's the same shape as the B minor. You just move it down one and then to the second, third, and fourth fret. And again. So sometimes you can do that with other chords if you're moving from bar chords to open chords. So here's a close-up of what I was talking about. Here's how I normally do it. E, B minor. If I change the fingering, it looks like this. So now I'm using my second, third, and fourth finger for the E. Then I'm going to slide it down this way and also this way. So I'm bringing it down one set of strings towards the floor and then sliding it down to the second and third and fourth fret. And again. So even if you're changing from one open chord to another open chord, consider changing your fingering. It might make it easier. For instance, here's how I normally do G to C. G, C, and maybe it's how you do it too. But maybe there's a little bit of a pause between the chords and you want to change that. Consider playing that G chord with the second, third, and fourth finger instead. And that way, all you do is pick up your little finger, bring these two fingers down, and your index finger goes right to that second string, first fret. Try it again. Okay, I'll show a close-up. Here's that G to C change. Here's how I usually do it, maybe how you do it too. If you change the fingering, it looks like this. Second, third, and fourth finger. Okay, there's the G. To get to the C, lift up your baby finger, bring these two fingers down one, and then bring your index finger down here to the second string, first fret. Then reverse that to get back to the G. So there you go. There are several tips to help you with changing chords. And remember, it's all about the practice and the attitude. If you continue to have a good attitude, you'll learn to play. I've seen it happen over and over again. Please check out my original music, jamieanderson.com, and do what you can to support my channel. It takes me hours a week to put together these videos for you, and I want to be able to keep doing them. You can buy me a coffee. It's only $3. I'll put a link somewhere in this video or maybe underneath. And you can also support me via Patreon. It's only $5 a month, and you get really cool things like exclusive Zoom lessons from me. Thanks for tuning in.